Hello my friends and welcome. Let's start from the Frontlines updates. The village of Tihe and nearby territory was liberated recently by Ukraine. Let's zoom into this flag symbol. It's actually very nice to see those blue flag symbols, and definitely the village was liberated. Well, before around 3 days ago, Russians were spotted in the village with their own flag. It was at least one single Russian soldier. Well, you understand what happened to that mighty Russian soldier. He was identified by Ukrainian surveillance drone and was flatlined. And later on, Ukraine sent its soldiers to the same spot, showing that definitely the village of Tihe was taken, or liberated, as I say to you. And not just Ukrainian soldiers went there, but also this stray dog. Yeah, as you might see, animals are also out there on the front lines. Yeah, this is one more picture from close-up perspective. I wonder who liberated that. Well, the 67th Brigade raised the flag in Tihe. Yeah, confirmed. Well, actually, those villages not far away from the front lines are all in some sort of the gray area, because Russia also might send their drones there. So for Ukrainian army, it's better not to take those houses with infantry for extensive period of time. And we see that also Ukraine liberated Hai recently, the blue areas there. Ukraine is very active with its drones, targeting Russians even in Danilivka, where Russians went before. Ukraine liberated Dobropilia village. I guess it was reported today. Yeah, I guess I already told about this one in one of my previous videos, but we have this confirmation from the Mykolsk analytic. And also this Dachi area was liberated not long time ago, so Ukraine is more active here. In Zaporizhia Oblast, also in Dnipropetrovsk, so all of the Russian small infiltration attempts to those villages, they finally start to fail one after another. We see it clearly, but still they advance with their main force towards Hulaypole. They mostly concentrate their troops over here and they operate with the drones. So you see how many drones, aviation, gliding bombs are here. But Ukraine also strikes back with the drones. So let's see what is happening here. Well, here Russians send the leaflets to Hulaypole artillery. So it's not the drone after all. Yeah, definitely leaflets. Some of the text, propaganda, surrender to Putin or something like that. Yeah, usual stupid stuff from Russians. Run from Hulaypole, run away or something like that. That's the stupid leaflet. Well, Michael's map shows that definitely Russia still has advancements from Solodka village, for example. Over here, they have multiple of the vectors of attack, but Ukraine was also successful for the last 24 hours or couple of days, it's better to say. Alright, what I see that there is also the Russian attack attempt not far away from Robotyne. Yeah, we have the confirmation of the Russians, some sort of the convoy, maybe even. Yeah, very small one. 2 Russian armored vehicles were destroyed by Ukrainian FPV drones. Yeah, definitely 2 of the vehicles, 1 tank, and maybe 1 BMP, or maybe 2 tanks. Well, this looks like T-62 tank, and probably 2 tanks. Okay, this Russian soldier, thanks for this kind of the humanitarian bike that he receives from the Russian volunteers. Well, he decided to go to the same direction in Orihove with those tanks. Yeah, finally he was chased, and it was like hilarious video presented with a, as you know, happy ending. But I cannot show you this ending over here. The problem for the Russian volunteers that they took this scooter in the credit and they'll still have to pay for it. We also have recently published drone images from different locations on the front line. For example, this is a Pokrovsk direction, and Ukraine found out where Russia hidden its tanks. And this is Ryblansky forest. Ukraine operates with the fiber optic controlled drones. You see how low this drone really is and how good the video quality. So it is only possible with fiber optics. And what is that? Russia lost the tank that far away near Timirivka. Really possible? We have the clarification and confirmation. Some of the compilation of the images with some of the vehicles. Maybe there was somewhere the tank. Ptahi Magyar, so it's Magyar birds. They're very, very effective. By the way, we have some of the news about Magyar himself. Russia came out with an international warrant on Magyar, accusing him of flatlining Hanna Prokofieva, who was some sort of the Russian correspondent of the Russian propaganda media in the Kursk Oblast. Well, Magyar say that Anushka has already spilled the oil. He also noted the Russian fatalism and the inevitability of justice. Magyar really rules. Alright, to the other direction, for example, here we have Mirnograd. Recently, Ukraine lost the vehicle here. Yeah, it was confirmed. Unfortunately, we have it on Telegram. Well, this, you see, this area, those are all Ukrainian vehicles which Ukraine used for supplies. Already shared those kind of the images from different perspectives. So one more vehicle is added to this mass. And again, I'm telling about a very stupid decision for Ukrainian command to keep the forces in Mirnograd for such a long time. Those losses are crazy. Sometimes I receive the comments like, Dennis, it's the war, there are losses. But those losses are stupid. It shouldn't be happening like that. Then there is a tiny little bottleneck for Ukrainian army to withdraw or to supply, and you see, it's not normal. Well, Ukrainian army still continue to maintain control over the part of Mirnograd, but recently Russia moved a little more towards the southern part of the area, and I guess I saw it from the deep state military map. Yes, over here Russia moved from Moskovsk and Promen just a little, occupying few blocks of and few streets and households of this settlement of the town. So I would say no significant change in the situation in Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, but somewhere, not far away from Pokrovsk, Ukrainian army was capable to imprison some of the Russian forces, Russian troops, during the Russians' failed attempt to propel using infiltration tactics. Yeah, 2 of the Russian soldiers decided to give up weapons and surrender during their infiltration attack. This guy and this guy, they decided to give up, and it was the proper decision of theirs. They saved their lives. And there was one more update from Konstantinivka direction, where Russia moved from Katerinivka a little bit closer to this lake. So it was yesterday, today. Yeah, those fields and a couple of the tree lines were confirmed under Russians, but all of that was in a gray zone before. Russia for now is not that successful in Konstantinivka. And also, if we speak about the northern side, this Kupiansk city, Russia is unable to propel further to the south for already a couple of the weeks, maybe 3 weeks. They also have some turn troubles in this left bank of the Oskil River. They're in lack of the supplies, and partially they were forced to withdraw the troops to save their miserable lives. Alright, about Kabooms, something is happening right now while I'm filming this video. Ukraine launches some of the drones, usually every night, and Russia also launches some of the drones on Ukraine. About the strikes on Russia, this is Volgograd. Some happy Russians are screaming. Yeah, that's probably the Russian air defense in operation. Pizda всё горит, it means everything is fine, everything is normal. Yeah, this is Angels, also reports about Kabooms. Yeah, fireworks. This is Angels. Yeah, some Kabooms and Angles. Yeah, here we have the brief explanation of the direction of the drones, where they proceeded. Yeah, happens. It's called the Special Military Operation. Nothing personal. Ukraine also may liberate some Russians, yeah. Oh, wow, what happened to Russians? The Economist published the article where they calculated all of the Russian losses, like plus minus. They've taken account all of the official published information, not by Russian Defense Ministry or something, but the data which is publicly available from those funerals. And they have calculated that the losses could exceed 680,000 men, about 1% of its pre-war male population of entire Russia. But we know that this figure is higher, 1 million roughly. If counting the men in working age, it's 430,000. And it is logical. For every sort of war, mainly the young population is in action. Even in Russia, yeah, there are some of the elderly people also fighting, but mainly younger generation. And yes, in the same article, they say that the losses could exceed 1,350,000 losses. They need more data for precise calculation, and that number is already more than United States total losses in the Second World War. Despite that, for the last 3 years of war, Russia captured less than 1.5% of Ukrainian total territory. 1.45% of Ukrainian territory was captured by Russia for the last 3 years. Ukraine is big, yes. Yeah, Russia is bigger, but somehow they want Ukrainian territory. The fight for Pokrovsk only is happening for 18 months. Yeah, it was calculated. 18 months for Pokrovsk alone. And Pokrovsk is not even a big city. So it is now understandable why Russia needs this peace agreement, because they are unable to get Donbass using military force, so they want to force Ukraine somehow to give up those territories voluntarily, but it will not happen. 1% is actually a huge number, but at the same time, Russia has reserves. Yeah, Putin has this option to announce a new mobilization in Russia, and he could mobilize instantly 2 million men, for example, giving them Kalashnikov and force them to fight against Ukraine or against some other countries. Yeah, we're gonna speak about that also in this video, because today it was the topic of my stream on the other channel. And by the way, my friends, I have another channel. Please check out it in the video description right below. It's called Captain Dennis, where I stream almost every day. And also I publish some of the videos, sometimes even about Ukraine, about world politics, about some trash stuff. So if you want to follow me there, check it out. So if we convert this Russian pace with the Russian losses on the front lines, it will take them the entire decade. Yeah, 10 more years to occupy fully Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts, which they claimed in their constitution. And it will add up at least 2 million losses more, judging on the current losses for the last 3.5 years, maybe a little bit more. And speaking about the entire Ukrainian territory, Russia needs 105 years with the present pace to occupy Ukraine. Does Putin plan to live that long? Who knows, but I guess something will go wrong for him for this long period of time. Alright, to the other news, we have this document published and shared on Twitter. Import data from the Trade Data Monitor, Ukraine assistance data from Kiel Institute's Ukraine Support Tracker. It shows the Ukrainian military support or financial support, any sort of humanitarian support, but for Ukraine, and also it shows the purchases or money spent for purchasing of the Russian fossil fuels like gas and oil. So European countries aid to Ukraine and Russian oil and gas purchases January 2022, December 2024. So total it's 3 years. In billions of dollars, here we have this graph. So all of those countries are members of, Turkey is not the member of Europe together with the United Kingdom, but those are the European countries, let's say. And what we see here, guys, that even Germany purchased for the last 3 years more of oil and gas from Russia than gave support for Ukraine. You see this graph, yeah? Blue is money goes to Russia, and amber or orange is the support of Ukraine, which is less than for Germany than purchasing. I'm laughing, but actually I don't want to laugh. I want to cry loud about what is happening here, especially for the countries like, for example, Hungary, Serbia. It's understandable, but Serbia actually sold some of the weapons via the third countries to Ukraine. It's already legit information. Well, Denmark, well done. Just a little gas or oil you got, and look at this support. And I understand that Denmark sent all of its artillery systems to Ukraine. Awesome, Denmark. Thank you so much. But you see the countries as Netherlands, they, oh my God, Poland, Norway, more or less okay, yeah, thank you. Spain, no good. Italy, absolutely not good. Slovakia, crazy bad. And even the countries which are bordering Russia, like Latvia, Romania, Lithuania, they're giving Russia more of money than for Ukraine. Unfortunately, it's like that. Even Switzerland, you see, it didn't purchase any of the Russian gas. Yeah, there was the attempt of the Swiss company to start a cooperation with Russian oil supplier, but it was cancelled. So Switzerland helps Ukraine, humanitarian aid, quite substantial amount of money. There was the big contract signed, so Switzerland, thank you. But you see the country says, yeah, some of the Bayraktars were delivered to Ukraine just a little, and you see Turkey is just living on Russian oil and gas, the biggest consumer of that. And maybe, just maybe, it is selling it after to another countries, yeah. United Kingdom, yeah, more or less. Okay, so it's not just about Hungary or Slovakia or something like that. You see that Western European countries, Central European countries, they continue to purchase Russian fossil fuels. Italy, not good. After Turkey, you have the second place. This is terrible. I wonder why Norway bought something, because they have oil, maybe gas they need, or what. Strange that they purchase something from Russia, but at the same time, the ratio for support of Ukraine is way bigger as well as for Sweden. Sweden, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, I have so many emotions. Well, luckily, European Union agreed to cancel all of the gas and oil purchases gas, I think. They're speaking just about gas till 2027. But the next year, they're still going to purchase from Russia. Yeah, it's not good. They should have stopped it a long time ago, but their economies are so dependent. All of that is about previous generation of the European politicians who sacked and milked Russia for the cheap fossil fuels. But in this case, you trade your sovereignty, you trade your dependence. And now with this fossil fuel needle, it's very, very hard for European countries to get rid of this influence of Russia. And Hungary already stated this year to say that Hungary will oppose decision to stop purchasing Russian fossil fuels in 2027. So there are still politicians who say, no, we need to suck this Russian tube. We are addicted to it. They still want to be a slave to that stuff, which is terribly bad. But I hope that Orban's party loses the next elections. Well, actually, I do not hope. I know that they will lose elections in Hungary. All of the polls are telling that TISA party is victorious. It's just then Orban may not agree with the result and say that, no, it's mean power. Those elections were rigged, as Donald Trump says about 2020 elections. Yeah, he will try to stay in power. Orban is a classical dictator, but we'll see. Oh, your favorite part, politician news. Yeah, Trump Jr. says that Russia is less corrupt, or Ukraine is more corrupt than Russia. Also, this post accused Zelensky of allegedly not wanting to end the war. You see, Ukraine should just give up its territories to Russia, and the war is going to end, Give up. Let Russia take you. Also accused Ukraine's wealthy people of running away from their country, leaving what they considered the peasant class to fight. Actually, partially he's correct. There are lots of the corrupt officials and their relatives who live in Monaco. And here he says about Monaco, yes, there are lots of the Ukrainian fancy cars. And among Ukrainians, we call it a battalion Monaco, making fun of it, but actually it's not funny. So this is the problem. Yeah, Ukraine has the problem with corruption, but unlike Russia, Ukraine is fighting against it. We have the independent institutions as NABU, and they are getting closer even to the president's circle. There are many people dismissed, many persecuted, many under investigation, suspicions, and so on. So Ukraine is fighting, even during the war, against corruption. But he says that, oh no, this is bad. The fight against corruption is bad, or what? And after all, Ukraine is not about Zelensky and his circle or whatsoever. It's about the Ukrainian people. Finally, Trump Jr. suggested that his father might simply be distracting himself from the war, and the United States would stop being an idiot with checkbook. They're not paying for anything. Europe is purchasing weapons from the United States. United States is supplying zero stuff from its own budget to Ukraine. Absolutely null, nothing. Everything is purchased by Europe. And he's an idiot if he says like that. And he says like that. There's an article about what he said in Politico. He commented that. So he's delusional, stupid buffoon who knows absolutely nothing, even what his father is doing with support of Ukraine or not support of Ukraine. In this case, it's not the support of Ukraine. Trump, Witkov, and all of that bullshit company just forcing Ukraine to surrender. But in fact, they don't have the leverage to do it because they do not support Ukraine directly with weapons. Ba-bam! And about this EU Twitter fine gate, wow, this is hilarious, guys. Kirill Dmitriev, this Putin's friend, posted this poll on his X account, which he is only capable to maintain using VPN. That's the irony of Russia. They say how strong censorship is out there in EU. At the same time, the same platform, Twitter, is blocked in Russia. Well, anyways, he started the poll of what is the best for the world, and you see that overwhelmingly it was voted for EU bureaucrats win. And you see, even with that, with all of those variants, still EU bureaucrats win. LOL, of course. This is backfired. I wonder when this interview was recorded with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary of the United States. Well, it was reposted like 5 hours ago. Here we have December the 2nd. Well, kind of the fresh interview, I would say. Let's check out what he said there.
But now Putin has started making incursions, into the NATO borders.
Exactly.
So the one thing I can tell you is the U.S. is not going to get involved with troops or any of that. We will sell the Europeans weapons and...
You see, kind of the short video explains everything. Trump's policy relative to NATO, Europe, and so on. Europe is fucked, guys. It was freaking abandoned by United States of America. There was an agreement between Europe and United States of America before that actually it was not the interest of United States for Europe to be strong in army and everything of that. United States all the time were saying, okay, we're gonna protect you, we're this police guy, you're our friends, NATO, and then orange idiot elected. Oh, we're not gonna protect you. Europe, you should have relied on yourself. And Europe is like, oh, we were purchasing Russian cheap gas and oil. What should we do? Okay, we need like 10 years to build our army, to reform logistics and so on. And Putin, oh, there is an open window. We can attack Baltic states. So guys, that's the scenario I see, unfortunately. And Americans, they're openly saying that they're not going to protect NATO members. So simply NATO doesn't exist at this point. There is no any security guarantee for any sort of the state. And the only robust guarantee is for every freaking country in the world to obtain nuclear bomb, warhead, rocket, missile, whatsoever. It's the only thing that Ukraine voluntarily gave up in 1994. And it was the biggest mistake, and now our people have to pay for it with their own blood and lives, and this is terrible, guys. But that's the only guarantee. Yeah, you see? They don't give a fuck about allies, you see? For them, Europe is not ally any longer. This is not even a partner. They look to demolish European Union, to have separate negotiations with every country, divide and rule, yeah? Because after all, this is a big populated market. Yes, way more people than in the United States, and you may create some sort of the confrontations there and earn a lot. Yeah, that's the idea of Elon Musk, of Donald Trump, and all of those idiots in the White House. But they're incompetent, so they will not succeed in that. But Europe should wake up and to invest half of its economy to its army and to build its own European army finally. Guys, European Union has everything. Common currency, common parliament even, some sort of the European Commission institutions, lots of the bureaucracy and all of those officials whom I hate usually. But it's better to have them in charge than someone ruling outside like from the United States, Elon Musk and so on. The problem here that those bureaucrats, they start to understand right now that they need to reform, but they're still sleeping mainly. There's still no unity in Europe itself, and it might be too late because Putin has this window while Donny is the president of the United States. Very dangerous times, my friends, and maybe next year even, or the year after the next year, Russia may try to do some sort of the military provocation attack on NATO countries. Let me show you the map where I think it might happen. I already told about it on my stream, so you already know this very sensitive point, the Suwalki corridor, 60 kilometers just from the isolated Russian Kaliningrad Oblast to Belarus, and Belarus for now it's like one more oblast of Russia. So Russia may go via Lithuania. They will not go to Poland because Poland has kind of capable army relative to its neighbors, and Poland invests a lot. Poland at least partially understands what might happen, and Poland is bordering Belarus. So Russia will not try to mess up with their army, but Lithuania, yeah, why not? So they will advance here with thousands of the forces. It is possible, guys. If Russian army is equipped with drones, the Russian army has also military experience, technologies, they have aviation, absolutely everything. For them to cover this distance, it's not a huge problem through those roads. Yeah, this area is kind of swampy, but it was more swampier before. Then those lakes were used for agriculture purposes, and now there are the talks maybe to swamp up this territory once again, but they're not doing it yet. And you may say, oh, Dennis, Russia is busy. They cannot even take Pokrovsk for 18 months, like how miserable they are. But do not compare Ukrainian army with some of the army from Lithuania, yeah, for example, or Latvian army. They don't have military experience. They do not have drone units. Yeah, they produce some of the drones, but not matchable with Russians. Russia may deploy still thousands of the forces. They have reserves, and not all of the Russian army is fighting in Ukraine, and Russia is preparing it. Belarus is building its military bases near Grodno. Yeah, Grodno is here, over here. They build those even at the border with Finland, but I don't think they're gonna go to Finland for now, at least. So the idea, what I think that they're gonna cut, maybe Suwalki corridor. They will say that, oh, Kaliningrad Oblast, we need to have access to Kaliningrad. And you see this Lithuania, they cut some of the supplies for our goods to Kaliningrad. And definitely Lithuania actually cut some of the supplies for the Russian, I guess, gas or something like that. So Russia may proclaim, okay, Kaliningrad Oblast, our people are dying because of the lack of the gas they needed during the cold winter times. So Russians may say, we're going to create this humanitarian peaceful corridor for our goods to reach our people, poor people of Kaliningrad. And you see, there are so many people in Lithuania who support this idea. At the same time, they're gonna wake up some of the sleeping cells of pro-Russian community in Lithuania, and they will say, yeah, Russia needs to create this peace corridor to reach their people. And Elon Musk will support, yes, let's make peace. Russia needs peace. Let's make this peace corridor a great opportunity for success and prosperity of Europe. Then, in fact, it will be just the blockade of the all Baltic states, because Russia will deploy its army and cut the supplies from Poland and deploy its navy over here in the Baltic Sea and create the blockade via sea. And they will say, okay, if you attack Kaliningrad or any of our forces, we're going to nuke you. So do you really think that those countries, or Germany or France or even Poland, will they really attack Russia in that case, or Kaliningrad, or try to intervene into this peace corridor or actual blockade happening on territory of the neighboring state, but not on its own? Will this government in Poland risk of, for example, Warsaw being nuked with a tactical nuke? There is the question about it. What do you think might happen in this case? Well, for now, no one knows, but it will happen. Russia may do it, this blockade, and came out with ultimatum. You attack our forces, we're gonna nuke you, and if you want to release this blockade, you may cancel the entire military support also from Europe for Ukraine. Let us have Ukraine fully occupied. Is it possible scenario? Absolutely. Everything goes to this scenario. Well, there could be a smaller operation. For example, Russia may take just Estonia, try to encircle it from here and also advance from Narva. It depends on how far Russia might get, just to block Estonia or to block entire Baltic states. And for those missions, Russia already has enough forces. Already, guys, they are not required to attack Poland, Group North, Group South, or whatsoever like they do in Ukraine. It's going to be a limited special military operation, provocation, but definitely an attack on NATO countries. With this, Putin will also test the Article 5 of NATO, and if it doesn't work even for neighboring states, Putin Putin may do whatever he wants because NATO for sure doesn't exist in this case. It doesn't exist even right now, as we understand, without United States, like fully doesn't exist. But Europeans may show that it may not exist even on European territory. Who knows how they might react in this case of the real threat, because Russians already violated Estonian airspace with its fighter jets. Russians already sent some of the drones to Poland. Yeah, what was the reaction? Was it strong or not? Tell me in the comment sections. I don't think it was really something outstanding from NATO. I think Europe is weak and America is not competent, and we are all heading towards that possible scenario. One of the most probable scenarios I already told you over here, and how Russia may explain it to happen. Yeah, I'm not telling you that it will happen just exactly as I told. It's like one of those variants. As for me, this is very possible, guys, and I'm quite concerned. I don't know about you, but I am. And Russia may act in coordination with China. Mark Rutte, by the way, Secretary of United Nations, said about it. There are several escalations happening in the Yellow Sea, in East Pacific region, Southeast Asia, whatsoever. So Chinese jets direct weapons radar on Japanese aircraft, Japan says. So basically, a China plane was flying behind or maybe forward towards a Japanese jet and aimed it, okay, captured. Target captured, and the Japanese jet, it has the warning in this case, so yeah, escalation is happening. Also, they escalate with their navy and so on, so dictators, they're more united, they understand where they're heading to, they want to destabilize the world and destroy completely already almost destroyed previous world orders. So we are living in instability, and there will be way more confrontations. It's not gonna end just with Ukraine, my friends, unfortunately. The next 3 years will be especially decisive because those dictators, they understand how weak West has become. With the new president of United States of America, everything could change. But yeah, in general, I have so many doubts, guys, for the good outcome of everything of that. We'll see. We'll see. Let's stay positive after all. Right, my friends, and please don't forget to support the channel on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below. You are making this job possible. Because of you, I'm capable to film every freaking day. And if you don't have the opportunity to support me on Patreon or membership, you may just press your like to this video and subscribe for the channel, because by doing so, you also support me propelling this video in YouTube algorithms. So you're awesome, guys. Stay awesome. Ciao. Yeah, I forgot to say about peaceful skies, but you know it. You know it yourself.